Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Educatedcollins Snap channel. How you doing? So today we want to be talking about the new updates. I guess there's two main things I would say that we should talk about. First off, most important thing is that the patch is delayed until tomorrow, so July 12th. Might even be like July 13th for like non-US players, but the patch is being delayed an extra day for whatever reason, right? So, we can do all our speculation, but at the end of the day, it's not coming out today. They did previously announce a lot that it would be today, so it's a bit unfortunate that it's been moved an extra day, but it's just a day, whatever. Like, the only downside is like maybe you were like trying to wait so that you could be on when the patch was live, right? But other than that, that is something pretty important. And then the second detail is that they did finally announce all of the drops for the Spotlight system. So now we know all of the cards that are going to be next to the new cards on top, and that's something very interesting. And there's definitely something I do want to talk about. So we're gonna go week by week, just talking about the cards itself, my thoughts on this like group of cards and what it means for the future, and just some other like little details I do know about. So let's begin. So right. First, obviously I did talk about it, but here's the official announcement, right? They said they're currently targeting launching this new feature with our upcoming patch on 7/12. So that's tomorrow. So unfortunate there. I wonder, I mean, I'm not going to speculate, but yeah, that's what's going on there. And then let's talk about the actual card. So the first week, I would say most people could have assumed that this was going to be the cards for week one because they had Spotlight variants ready for these cards. That was my thought, right? Since they had Spotlight variants ready for these cards, it made sense that Null and Tribunal would be next to Jean Grey here. So this one doesn't surprise me. Generally, I was kind of expecting it. The cards are okay. Tribunal is not that good in my opinion. Null is playable for sure, but a lot of people do have Null, so it's not like something you're going to be like, oh wow. So definitely, this is a set of cards that seem fine. If you like Jean Grey and you're missing the others, go for it. You could also just buy Jean Grey with tokens if you want to, but this is generally for most people that are saving this month or saving here. So that's pretty cool. They also did reveal the Spotlight variants for these three cards. This is why it made sense that this was the first setup, because they already did the work for the Spotlight variants, right? Where a lot of the other cards probably they haven't done that, so makes sense here. They're pretty cool looking, honestly. If you like variants, these are definitely flashy. So feel free to take them if you want. I don't really have too much opinion about the variants itself. So this is something interesting. I kind of do want to make its own separate video about some of the Jean Grey bugs, because Jean Grey has a lot of bugs, and I think it stems from the fact, like, I'm spoiling my next video, but I think it stems from the fact that I think Jean Grey is coded as a location. I think that's what's going on, and that's what's making all the bug interactions where you play it and it kind of like creates a location-esque value, and then because of that all the other things just interact poorly where you can't remove the effect, etc, etc, etc. But I do wonder if those bugs are going to be fixed, because obviously some people have complained about the bugs, but it's not on such a wide scale, because a lot of people are waiting for the Spotlight system to come out before they get it. So it's like non-stop everyone's playing it, right? Which is usually what happens with hyped releases. Everyone gets it and then everyone's playing it, right? You saw it with High Evolutionary. So if that was the case, right, I think you would just be seeing like Goose Jean Grey all day. So I'm not. So I do think that hopefully by tomorrow, when the patch comes out, all of these bugs will be done. So definitely an interesting one. If not, then that would be disappointing, and it's a whole nother discussion in itself that I don't want to go into, but it is something to be aware of. So now we have week 2, right? So these are all like, this is all new. We didn't really know what was coming out. So with week 2, we have Echo. It's being combined with Iron Lad and Kang. I do think Iron Lad's a pretty useful card that will be relevant later in the meta. It's still decent right now, but it's not like super necessary. But it is a card that has a lot of upsides on top of it. So you can definitely see it. Echo's a fun card. I'm not like too against it, but it's not like crazy. It's not a card you need to have. And then Kang, I would say right now, and I'm thankful that it is, I would say it's the weakest big bad. It's the weakest permanent series 5 card. So it's not that enticing to get. If you like it, you can definitely get it, but you can definitely make a lot of decks without Kang and feel fine. So it's not that core. There's some cool things you can do, and it does make your some decks safer, but overall it's not the end of the world of a card to miss. So you could definitely, there's nothing too crazy here if you want to skip these, but it is interesting. They are very freely giving out big bads, right, which is pretty cool. Next up, we do have Legion. So Legion's next to High Evolutionary and Darkhawk. So this one is a little bit, what's the word here? Like it's unfortunate, right? Because everyone has High Evolutionary, I feel, these days, because it was just very hyped. You saved your tokens for it, so everyone has High Evolutionary, but not everyone has Darkhawk. So a lot of people want Darkhawk. I would say they've been waiting, seeing if they could get Darkhawk here, and it's just next to Legion, which I would say is just not that enticing of a card. I don't think it's a bad card, but I think it's maybe the least enticing out of the 4 here. So you are putting Legion next to Darkhawk, which some people do definitely want, and then High Evolutionary, which a lot of people already have. It is a big bad, so once again, it's cool that they're putting High Evolutionary. I also think putting High Evolutionary in here is also particularly weird because it just came out. Right, like I thought they were going to go over or focus on the older stuff more than like things that came out last month or 2 months ago. But it looks like it's perfectly fine to see High Evolutionary. Like I'd be surprised if like Spider Ham comes out like in the next set, stuff like that, because it just came out, right? So that kind of stuff would be pretty interesting. But it is cool. I'm not like super in love with this one. Unless you really need Darkhawk, this one's a pretty easy skip because most people are already going to have High Evolutionary, right? Which I think is the big draw. If you don't have High Evolutionary, definitely go for this. I think High Evolutionary is worth it, unless there's like big nerfs or anything like that. But we'll see with the patch, right? Since it's coming out, I guess the patch changes aren't being revealed today as well. So I guess by this time you'll know if High Evolutionary got nerfed enough that you don't want to get it. But generally for now, like High Evolutionary is still a pretty important card to have in your collection. And then the last one is the Mirage. So Mirage is next to Thanos and Master Mode. I'd say Master Mode is not enticing at all. Thanos is good. It's also a big bad once again. Like they're just putting all the big bads in every single selection, which is pretty interesting. Galactus, thankfully is not in here, but yeah, they're definitely not. Or maybe there is some bias for putting the big bads in there, but yeah, Mirage is an okay card. It's not meta defining though. That's the difference here. It's a good card, but not meta defining. I think it could be, but I'd be surprised. But Thanos is definitely interesting, but the Master Mode is not, right? So if you really want Thanos, I mean, you could definitely go for it. You could. I mean, honestly, right? Like it's a much weirder justification for getting cards now, because you have to justify the notion of the others. Honestly, you could just say, "Hey, if you want Thanos, get it." Right? Like you're spending the same amount of resources to that you would before in terms of token progression to get Thanos. Now you're just getting two extra cards on top or three extra cards on top. So from that aspect or from that standpoint, I guess you can always say if there's a card you really want, get it. There's no downside. You just get extra cards on top. But if you want to look at it holistically and say, oh, do I want Mirage and Master Mode stacked onto, right? It makes the prices a little bit more situational. But if you do really want Thanos, you can. I wouldn't say Thanos is that crazy important in the meta, so that's the weird thing. But it is a good card, and it's a card that has a lot of flexibility. So you'll probably find some decks to use Thanos in at some point. So I don't mind it overall. But yeah, I don't know why I don't have the first image with all of them. Like this is a pretty interesting one, right? But like just looking at all of them, right? Obviously, Jean Grey I think is the best out of them. It just has a lot of bugs right now, so I do wonder how that's going to be addressed tomorrow. And then the others, I mean, if you want like any of the big bads, like probably this is your best time to get them since it's likely they're not going to repeat soon. They did say that cards can repeat, so you might see Iron Lad again, right? Like before you see all of the other cards. So that is something particularly weird. But if you do want any of the other cards, I do think it can be fine. It's just like there's next month has a lot of good cards, so I just wouldn't waste all of your cashes this season. I would just save at least four for next season just to have, some type of setup. But there are some cool stuff. And then the last thing I did want to talk about here was that there's probably likely no series drops this season. So if there was going to be a series drop, I'm very confident that they would have mentioned it. At least with this announcement, like with the Twitter post, they would have mentioned, hey, these are the series drops, right? They should have done it before if they were going to do it, but they didn't. And I feel like the day before is the last chance. So likely there's going to be no series drops this season, which is just really sad. And that kind of hurts the evaluation of the spotlight system if that is something that keeps moving forward where they just continue not dropping anything in a reasonable pace, then it's just gonna feel like you're losing that freedom, right? The old system guarantee was like in 6 months you could get every new card, right? Like every card, as long as you wait half a year, you would get it. Now with this new system, you don't have that guarantee. There might be cards that just are arbitrarily locked into Series 4, Series 5, and the value of Series 4, Series 5 really loses a lot of meaning with the spotlight system because yes, you could buy it for tokens, but in terms of progression wise, it's they have the same value, almost the same value. A little bit. I mean, Series 4s are a little bit less valuable, but still. So this it seems to me that they think the old system was too generous and that there wasn't a way to take advantage of a card that was very popular. Like that was I guess the drawback of the old system. Even if a card was super popular, everyone wanted it. In 6 months, everyone had it. Like there was no way to arbitrarily make a really good card perform more value, like perform better, except for the initial launch, right? The initial launch, yes, it performs better, but you couldn't really keep that price point after 3 months, after 6 months. They just lose all their value because they come Series 3s and all Series 3 cards for players that have been playing long enough become free. So that was just the issue there. Another thing with their old system was that it didn't make any sense to buy Series 4s from the bundles. So they started rolling out Series 4, Series 5 cards in bundles, right? Darkhawk, Stegron is coming out as well. And those are way more expensive than regular bundles because they have a premium Series 4 card. And with the old system, it just didn't make any sense to buy those because you could just wait a couple months and then get it for free instead of using your resources to speed up when you could just like wait an extra month and get it anyway. So due to some of those things, it just seems to me that they thought, okay, the old system wasn't helping us profit wise, right, long term. Like maybe players were happier with it, but profit wise for them, right, it wasn't working out, and that at the end of the day, that's what forces their decisions. So this is a little bit sad. I don't really know what it looks like, right? And I think like waiting a month to see what the next series drop is kind of like a little too much. Like they kind of have to talk about what series drops look like moving forward, right? Because the way it is, where we don't have any clue what's dropping, it just feels really bad. So hopefully they do make some posts about it or something like that. But it's just a little bit unfortunate that very likely this season there's no drops, and what it means for the future in terms of like how easy it is to acquire older cards, right? Because right now we don't know when Dark Hawk is going to drop, if it ever drops, right? And that kind of issue just seems a little bit lackluster, a little bit sad. Obviously, you can spend your resources to get Dark Hawk here. You can also spend your resources to get Null here, but you could have got it for free, right? That's the issue there. So, anyways, I wanted this video to be quicker, though. Obviously, with me, it ends up never being. But hopefully, we got the information out here. The patch is tomorrow, guys. Patch is July 12th. That is the main deal. Hopefully, there we have some more details, and I'll see if I'll make a video about the bugs for Jean Grey. But I'm hoping they fix it. Right? There's no way it's gonna last. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Take care and have a wonderful rest of your day. Da-da-da-da.
Educatedcollins snap. Once you watch him, you won't go back. He'll teach you to marvel snap. Your skills will be